Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening. If you are joining, let me know where you're joining from. What part of the world are you tuning in from? Who's hanging out with me this evening for a couple minutes? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Trying to figure out a couple things. It's Friday evening. Let's see. Hmm. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Hey. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in. Hey. Gotta make a song out of it. Awesome, awesome. All right, I think we are live. Looks like it. Okay, so what I wanted to do this evening is, for one, find out what your biggest problem is when it comes to speaking. And we're talking about any type of speaking. We are talking about speaking on social media, because that's definitely a place where we do a lot of speaking. A lot of us have some difficulties here and there, but it's also other places. We may be in a conference room, we may be in a classroom, and we find ourselves freezing up or getting nervous or not being able to think through our thoughts to be able to express our message clearly. So that's one of the biggest questions that I have for you, is that what is your biggest problem when it comes to speaking? Is it nerves? Is it, I can't get my message together with structuring my message correctly? I'm very interested to know what is one big issue that you have when it comes with public speaking. So this evening, what I wanted to do is, see my Batman cup, I wanted to go over a few tools and tips when it comes to speaking on social media. And not only is this helpful for speaking on social media, it's also helpful for if you are doing a presentation or you're doing a speech and you have a question and answer portion afterwards. So a lot of people have issues and they're not interested in answering questions at the end of a presentation because some of them are scared. So what I'm going to cover this evening, some tools to help you along the way when you're answering those questions and also when you're showing up on social media. So you may be able to see them in the back. I wrote them a little earlier, did a video earlier, so I have them written all out already. So the first tool is to do your research. When you are showing up on any platform, social media, if you are giving a presentation, you're giving a speech, you want to do your own research. You want to do background research on that topic. And even if you're doing something like this, speaking on social media, on Facebook Live, you need to know what you are talking about before you get up and try and speak to people about it. And you want to bring resources, bring books, have some references to use, have some blog posts or some ebooks to recommend that tie into that subject that you are covering or that you're talking about. For instance, I'm talking about speaking, right? I'm talking about showing up on social media. Here's a book that I have been reading here lately, Speak Up: How to Dominate in the Speaking Industry, and that's by Brian Olds. So ensure that you have some references to give to your people, especially if you're trying to expand your brand, if you're trying to get people to understand and know who you are. You need to bring some stuff with you, have some tools. It even message right here, when I mentioned ebooks, you can bring your own book, bring your own material. You can be a part of the references that you're giving as a part of your Q&A session for a speech, and also when you're advertising on social media. So do your research and be a part of your own research that you're sharing on social media. Another tool that I like to use when I'm doing a Q&A session or when I'm doing social media is I like to make it funny. Make it funny. It's okay for people to see you in the raw you. There's a saying that people don't buy your products and services, they buy you. So when you allow people to know who you are and you show up as yourself on social media, funny, charismatic, hilarious, people see that and they can connect with that. They like that. That helps to build that know, like, and trust. And eventually we're building a relationship to do business in the future, possibly, right? So be funny, make it funny. And that also helps when you're delivering Q&A, when you're up on stage, when you're on social media. It helps to reduce some of the anxiety. The nerves like to take over sometimes with some of us when it comes to speaking, right? So making it funny helps you to relax a little bit and make it easier to get through. Also bring some humility. So not only am I going to laugh about it, but you notice how you see some of the comedians and how strong that they are, that they can laugh at themselves and talk about how they've made it over, trials or situations. They can laugh at themselves over some of the stuff that they've done and some of the mistakes that they've made. And that's part of the humility when they're speaking to their audience. It's the same thing with us. Bring your humility. Let the audience know, let people on social media know that, hey, I struggle with this. I'm not perfect. I may be up here passing this information, but it has been something that I've dealt with or something that a family member of mine has dealt with. And that helps with the connection as well. You'll hear me say that quite often. Doing business is all about building relationships. And you can't build relationships if you don't have a connection with someone. So be funny, but also be yourself. Bring your situations, your past issues, your past struggles into the Q&A session as well. And also on your lives on social media. That allows people to see the real you and want to do business and want to follow you, want to see your progress, want to see you win, want to see how far you've come along. So bring your funny game, but also bring your humility. Number 3, make it a conversation. That's really what question and answering is. I love to be asked questions as I'm trying to do a talk or if I'm doing a presentation. It helps the flow of the information keep going. It's like a conversation. We're talking back and forth. That's exactly what a speech is. It's a one-to-many conversation. And sometimes it's a one-to-one as you're making eye contact with that person in the audience. But really, it's a conversation. So the more that you think about it like it being a two-way conversation, the more that it helps when you're on social media. One of my mentors, he speaks about how he prefers to do a Zoom conference class instead of webinar because he feeds off of people's energy. And I'm the same way. I love to see people commenting. I love to see people adding to the conversation. It feeds my soul. It makes me thrive as we're giving the information because it makes it feel like it's two-way and I'm just not directly giving the information. It makes it more fun. So make it a conversation. Allow the audience to get involved. Throw a question out there to the audience. Hey guys, whoever stubbed their toe and broke three toes, right? Put a 1 in the chat. And all of a sudden you'll see ones and you see people engaged. You see people leaning into your message. That's part of the conversation. Or if you're actually giving a speech and you throw it out to the audience, hey guys, who's ever stumped their toe and thought that it was the end of the world? Armageddon was on the way. And you'll see some people raise their hand. Hey, Joseph, tell us about that time, if you don't mind. And Joseph will go into his story. Oh my goodness, I about broke 3, 4, 5 toes all at once. People love to be allowed to tell their story. People love to be able to be involved in the process, in the speech. So make it a conversation, make it a community effort, and that will bring that audience in and keep everyone wrapped up along the way. So whether you're on social media and you're asking those questions, or if you're up in front of someone in an audience, you're asking those questions, make it a two-way conversation. Allow them to bring in their thoughts, and that's going to keep them leaning into your message. Restate the question is number 4. Restate the question. That's a really good one. You want to restate the question for 3 reasons. You want to restate the question for clarity. You can throw it out there, maybe you didn't quite understand exactly what the question was. So you're going to ask for clarity. So you asked why the sun rised in the west and set in the south, something, right? Is that your question? So you're going to ask that question and give it back to the person that asked the question so you can understand exactly what it was. You don't want to answer a question and you're not 100% sure as to what the person was asking you. Okay, so make sure that you're asking for clarity. You're also going to restate the question for time. When you restate the question, it gives you a little bit more time to think and prepare to give and deliver that answer. So restate the question for time. Give yourself a couple moments to gather your thoughts and answer the question. And you also want to restate the question for the audience. Now, this is not really so much so for social media, but if you were in a classroom or your conference room or big auditorium, let's say, and let's say someone asked the question and they were in the 3rd row, and you have people way back in the audience, back in the 30th row, and they're a small talker, and they kind of ask the question softly with a soft voice. Do you think the people in the 30th row heard the person that's in the 3rd row? Probably not so much. So when you restate the question, you're going to give it back to the audience so everyone is engaged. Everyone heard that question. Or you can even say, hey, did everybody hear that? And then if they say no, or if you see body language that says no, like people are leaning in, trying to listen in because they didn't hear the question, you'll want to restate the question so everyone can understand what it is before you answer it. So restate the question for clarity, for time, and for the audience. Another tool that I like to use on social media and with Q&A sessions is if you don't know the answer, don't pretend to know the answer. We are all professionals. You want to continuously be known as the professional that you are. It is easy to see through or to see someone up there dancing or making up something out the side of their neck, because I guarantee someone in the 3rd row is on Google as you're trying to give that answer. So be you. No need to make up something. If for some reason there's a question you can't answer, but you do, hey, you know what? Julie, that is a great question. You know what? No one's ever asked me that before. And yeah, I'm going to have to get back with you on that. So you take down their information. You let them know that you're going to get the information for them. And if you can't get the information, You're going to refer them to someone that can answer that question for them. Believe me, they will respect that so much more instead of you up there making up an answer and passing bad information. Word of mouth travels. You don't want to be known as the person that's giving bad juju, bad scoop, just to answer the question. So keep your credibility by being truthful. And my mentor says everything's going to end with the truth. And that's the truth. So you may as well start with the truth. No need to start with the fib. No need to start with what answer you think that they want to hear. Start with the truth. If you don't know what the answer is, let the audience know you don't know what the answer is. But you will work hard and you will get that answer. So don't pretend. If you don't know it, don't act like you know it. Don't make it up. And the last tool that I have to use is follow up. That's one of the best things that we as business owners should be doing all day, every day. When you follow up, you understand. And when you start in interacting, you start seeing who shows up more often. And when you start seeing them show up more often, that means, I need to check on her. I need to check on him because they may be interested in services in the future. So during a Q&A portion, that's a great time for you to start building those relationships and for you to start seeing who's interested, who's more interested in your information, in your services, in your programs that you could possibly do business with in the future. So have a method, have a way, have some sort of funnel or cards that has a link on there to where people can follow up with you. So you want to be able to give your information out and for them to be able to find you easily. Of course, social media, they're watching you from your social media page, possibly, right? So you want to make sure that wherever you are, whatever platform you're using, whether it's in person or it's on social media, you want to follow up with those people because those people can become your people. Follow up. So those are my tools. Do your research, make it funny, bring humility, make it a conversation, restate the question. If you don't know, don't ask, don't pretend like you do know. Make sure you're truthful. And lastly, follow up. Follow up. So those tools can be used via social media, YouTube, Facebook Live like this, IG Lives, any of your social media platforms, and they can also be used on stage, on a panel, in a conference room. Just make sure that you use the steps and you're confident in your information, and you will be fine every single time. So those are my gems for the evening. I'm going to start showing up here more often, and you let me know if you have any questions or any concerns or any way that I can better serve you. And if you're listening to this on replay, drop in the comments if this helped you. And also, what is the biggest challenge that you deal with when it comes to speaking? Any type of speaking, body language, jitters. I move too much. I get the dancing left and right on stage. I just don't do it because I'm scared. My voice, I don't have a strong voice, so I don't want to get on stage and be embarrassed. What is it? So talk to me. Put it in the chat. Let me know what your biggest problem is and what's stopping you from moving forward when it comes to speaking, whether it's a speaking business, whether it's speaking on social media for your business, or whether it's just speaking and communicating in general. All right. Have a good evening. Thank you for joining, and let me know how I can serve you. Good night. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, baby.